All right, so we're back with continue the process of field dressing this muswa, and what we did is we propped it up on its back. We turned the head so it'll sort of hold it in place because we need it on its back, so we're able to open the skin up and get at the stomach because we want to get the insides out as quick as possible. Because the longer you leave the all of the insides, the organs inside, as long as you leave, the longer you leave them there, the quicker it starts to spoil because our internal acids and stuff start to break down and spoil almost immediately. So these need to be get out. Organs need to be taken out as quick as possible. But before we do that, we need to at least either fully skin it or half skin it. So the very first cut I make is right from the top where the breastbone pokes out, and I'm going to make a line all the way down the center. And I'm just cutting into the skin. In fact, when I go through the where the stomach is, I want to be very careful because if I end up poking into there, I might poke into the stomach and end up getting some nasty stuff from just going along the between the skin to where the hide is held on, and I'm just going to make a line down carefully. Now, some people have what's called a gut hook on their knife, and they just easily, because a little part goes under the skin and just opens it up easily. But I don't have one, so I'm just being careful. So once I get by its organ here, I'm just going to cut around each side of it. So I cut along the one side of it, right down as far as I can, and I cut along the other side of it. Again, being careful not to poke through into that stomach. And then I'm just going to cut that away and fold it out towards the back. So it's out of the way. Right to the back. So we're going to cut a circle around right where the joint is here on both of these legs. Because we want to open the hide right up and try and keep the meat as clean as possible. So from there, I'm going to make a line from my cut around the joint right to that breastbone where I opened it up. So once I've got it cut, opened up to that breastbone now, I can start skinning this front leg out to begin opening it up. So when I'm skinning the moose, I'm pulling back on the hide and I'm not cutting the meat off. I'm cutting where the skin attaches to the meat, and you can see it looks like a little, almost like a spider web or something, and you just cut through that and keep pulling it back because we just want the hide off. We don't want a bunch of holes in the hide. We don't want a bunch of meat on there either. So just being careful that we're skinning out, taking just the hide off. Because of course we want to keep the hide. We don't want to waste anything from this moose. And I'll completely skin right around the legs. And again, right to the breastbone again. We're just taking the hide off right now, so we're just skinning it. Being careful. When you're first learning, it does take some time to learn how to skin a moose, because you'll find you're making holes, or you're cutting off chunks of meat. So it's best to take your time when you're first learning how. So we're going to continue opening up the around the stomach cavity, being careful not to cut through, because if we cut through, just all those nasty stomach contents will come spraying out at us. Very important that you have a sharp knife, because with a dull knife you're going to have lots of trouble. But also with a sharp knife you got to be careful too, and watch your fingers. So you'll see, like the meat like this on here, that's not bad if I leave this kind of little bit of meat on there, because that's it's not going to be hard to clean off if you're making a hide. So I want to completely open it, continue skinning. So I want all of just the meat exposed. And I try and keep it as clean as possible, because it'll make the job easier when we're butchering it. Butchering it clean. Now with the back legs I do exactly the same thing. I'm going to make a line around, completely around the joint. So just cutting through the fur and the skin right around the joint. And again here, I'm going to make a line from my cut over here where I went around the joint, right to where it's opened up here again. So I go along the leg, open it up, then make a line right to where I made my first cut there. And then once I've gotten to that line, I could start opening up this leg and taking the fur off the leg. And then back around from the other side of the hind quarter, or the back leg. And I'll continue cutting as far as I can, taking the skin off as low as I can, where it's laying on its back. Continue skinning out these legs, hind leg, back leg. Until the fur is completely free from that hind quarter. And you'll see my son is doing the same thing on the other side. With this, I want to try and keep it clean, because what we're going to do is when we go to get along the backbone, we're going to flip it to one side and then the other, just so we could get at the rest of it. And this, we're going to lay it on this open part just to keep it clean. So I'm going to spread this out, sort of like a clean area for it to lay on. And then we're going to turn it to the one side and finish completely the one side. So now my son will do the back and I'll do the front, and we're going to go skin it right to the backbone. If you do happen to get like chunks of meat on there like that, don't worry about it, especially around the neck area. It's hard to skin out because the meat doesn't really follow any patterns like it does at the rest of the body. You can see the muscle lines. With the neck, there's so many muscles there that they don't really stay in one direction. So we've got to the backbone here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to spread this out and we're going to flip it the other way to finish the other side. So now we could finish this side the same way. Now it does take some practice and it's a lot of work, but it does definitely help to have a nice sharp knife. And we'll go right to where we stopped, where we finished cutting on the other side, so that you see the whole thing is completely skinned out now. So we've completely skinned it right from the neck all the way down. But now we've got to prop it back up again, because we're going to prop it back up on its back. Then I'm going to show you how we take the insides out.